Hello, I'm Jeff Byers, and I'm going to be taking you through Module 3, Character Rigging, Binding the Skin, and Painting Weights. Now, in this particular one, I'm just going to show you how to get everything ready. So we're prepping, the rig is completely finished, the finger controls are working, the IK system in the leg is working, the forearm twist is working, the eyes are completely finished. So these are things that you'll have to know when we move forward. So this is the first step in creating the bind skinned. Okay. So again, I want you to make sure that you are looking at and using your required book, Animation Methods Rigging Made Easy. And there's a part in there where it starts the rigging process, the bind skin, which is on page 127. So we'll get you started with that. This should be a fairly short video. So what we're going to do is we have to make sure all the pieces are separate, or they can be in groups too as well. But you can see that I got my shoes separate, my coat is separate, that's really important. My camisole, my pants, my t-shirt underneath is together as one. You can see all these pieces are separated, and it's important that all of that stuff is separate because it's easier to paint that way. Especially the headphones, the head. We want those goggles. We want to be able to see her eyes. So you can put the goggles on top of her head if you want to. I would prefer that. And so everything else looks pretty good. Again, you got to be careful with these types of things. Jewelry, backpacks, and all that. The backpack has to be pretty close and to the body for it to move properly. Again, this is going to be a problem area for rigging because it makes it more complicated. Another thing you want to think about is that if you have interpenetration, that means the inside of the jacket is pushing through the outside. It'll turn black. You'll see it right away. So what I end up doing is just going in here and going to face mode and getting rid of all the inside faces that are causing problems. It's okay, it'll still render because Maya renders two-sided, a two-sided polygon. So it's not an issue at all. So you'll just have to select them, all these guys that are giving you problems. I usually do the whole inside of the jacket. And the best way to do that is to go ahead and go into selection mode and then do a control 1. And you can see that I've got it. I only go up so far anyway. So I would just go in there. So the best way to do it is just select on the face where it starts, and then the end face that you want to you want it to select all the way through. And that's about the fastest way you can do it. Okay. And when you're done, just make sure you're not selecting anything else you don't need to. You can keep that little crease right there. That's fine. That's not going to hurt anything. And then, of course, you just delete. So you just get rid of all those pieces that are inside the jacket. The rest of the body, I think, is going to be okay. If you have issues, then do the same thing for the rest of the body. Get rid of stuff you don't need, faces that are coming through. Because when you deform the mesh, it's going to be a problem, and jackets are very hard to control. Alright, so there's several ways to fix problems. If you find that you just cannot control the jacket the way you want to with painting weights, then you can also get your character posed very, just kind of slowly move the character into the position you want it and keep painting weights. That's what I would suggest. Like, if you got to move the leg out a little bit and the coat's not following with it, then what you do is you just paint weights to where that issue is. And the problem is that the coat goes down to where the knee is, and that's the separating point for the jacket. I want you to know the jacket's going to be a problem. So, and what I mean by that is that it depends on how you have it influenced. So you'll have to make sure that the thigh, that this joint right here is actually pushing that jacket out too as well. Okay. So it is away from the leg a little bit, but it will give you some issues. And if you do have issues, you can just go into the jacket and click on the vertex. The vertex is the area that you're having problems with, right? And let's just go ahead and select one, so I don't select anything else. And so this is the area that let's say the leg is going through it. So what you can do is you can double click on here and go into the soft selection mode. Click on soft select, and you can expand the brush size however you want, and you can change this to volume, surface, global, or object, whatever one works best for you, and you can start making changes. So if you have the leg out and it's going through, just click on that mesh and just move it forward. Okay? So, and you can do this even after you pose the character. You're not hurting any of the structure. You're just helping yourself out, trying to keep the pants from interpenetrating the body, and you can form that any way you want to. So I tell students that you can only go so far with the rig and the deformation of the rig. So that is a trick that I use all the time to go ahead and move vertices around in soft select. Makes it a lot easier and nicer than having to select one at a time and moving it around. You certainly can do that, but that would take you forever. If there are areas that interpenetrate, you can just again select the object, go into vertex mode, and go through that. I would highly suggest that when you're watching these videos, you pause the video and then work on it. Go back, rewind, pause the video, and just work that way. Alright, so let's get the character bound. Now you know all the issues that you can have with the character. Then I have a video that's just for how to paint weights, and this is a video that I found on the internet. I can't possibly make all these videos in the amount of time that I was, 2 weeks that I had to get all of us online and get everything going. So I apologize for that, but there's just no way I can do that. So I've got to do what I have to do. If I can find the videos, I will. And if you have questions, you let me know. But a lot of the things, no matter what video I show you, won't help you. You're going to have to problem solve some of this stuff out, meaning that I can get you started, but every character is going to be different. Every clothing option is going to be different. You're going to have to problem solve these things out and do the best you can. And of course, you can email me and say, listen, I'm having problems with the jacket. But I'll also ask you, did you watch the video first? And because I showed you how to use the soft select tool, did you use that? What else have you done? I'll ask you these questions before I answer. So I really want you guys to really problem solve this stuff out. Okay? The problem areas you're going to have, of course, are going to be the armpit area. So when you move the arm, it's going to cave that in. So you just got to paint. You got to paint that stuff out. Okay? Take it slow. And what I would recommend is that when you finally bind the skin and you move that arm down and you go ahead and start. So that's what I would do. I would rotate the arm down, get the controller and just move it down. And then what you do is you move it down about 50% of the way. Okay? Move it down just a little bit so you can see what it's caving in, and then you select the geometry, the pieces that are affected, and start painting those out. Okay, and then when you're done, you can Control Z back again, and then get out of it by hitting the Q key out of the tool. And we've done this before. We've done this with the leg. We've done this with the arm, and it just takes a lot of practice to do it. Sometimes you want to flood the whole thing. So if you click on the mesh and you actually select the joint for the head, you probably want to flood that entire piece that joint, and then paint out, because the head the head and the inside of the mouth is really hard to do. Okay, a lot of times I've told you guys that if you're painting wings, you can do Control 1, so you can just really focus on that one part of the head, the geometry. Okay, and that's another really nice thing about having your pieces separated, is that even when I'm painting weights, I can do Control 1 and only highlight the pieces that I need to work with. Okay, so that's why I keep everything separate. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. So what I would do is I would turn off texturing. That means just hit the 5 key. Okay, so we're just going to be on shaded display. Okay, this will just make things a lot easier for you, be able to see what you're doing. To bind the skin, you have to do this. You have to click on the root, hit the Q key, okay, and I want you to start right from the bottom and go all the way up, or however you want to start, doesn't matter. And I'm going to go up the body, okay, not missing anything, okay, and there we go. And I don't want to select anything that I'm not supposed to select. Okay. Okay, I think that's everything. You're going to find out. So again, select the root, okay, and then shift select all the other pieces. Go to skin. We're going to go to bind skin, and we're going to go in here and edit reset settings. And in the book, page 127, it wants us to do 3 for max influences and 8 for drop off rate. Okay. Alright, and then click on bind skin. Alright, there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and then you want to test it. Okay, so what happens is that you always want to save your work before you bind your skin, and usually want to save your work in a sequence. And you can see that there's the jacket, okay, and you can see it's doing pretty good. Alright, but you may want to paint weights so it looks a little bit better. Now you can see the inside of the skirt. We haven't even talked about that, and this is what I'm talking about, the inside of the skirt, meaning that I'm going to have to go in there and delete all the vertices inside, or all the faces inside the skirt. You're never going to see that unless you go like this. Okay, alright, so it's okay. You can delete faces inside and it'll still render just fine. You just can't delete the faces on the outside, obviously it'll disappear. So this is what I mean by interpenetration. It leaves that black area there. Okay? Alright, so once you find out what the problem is, you might have to go back and rebind it. So that's why you save it before you bind it. Okay? Alright, that's basically it, and then you can go through painting weights like you usually do and get all that done. And I wish you the best of luck, and stay well and stay safe.